Hey guys, thanks for joining and welcome back. So in this episode, we're going to talk about something I'm especially excited for, which is the release of Streets of Rage 4. It's hard to believe that it's been 25 years since the last Streets of Rage game, but this year we're getting one. So sit back, relax, and let's go on a trip to the Streets of Rage. Okay guys, so why Streets of Rage? Well, for one, it was a series that sort of captured my attention as a kid. So much so that I actually still think about it today. And I know many of you probably do as well. Because I know I'm not the only Streets of Rage nerd out there. All it takes is a simple YouTube or Google search, and you'll see tons of hits for Streets of Rage. So clearly, it's captured the attention of lots of people. The one thing that's just very hard to believe is that it's been 25 years since an actual Streets of Rage release. Now, honestly, when I did the research, that did shock me, and at the same time, it made me feel super old, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So, I was actually surprised to find out that there were actually 4 canceled attempts of either reboots or continuations of the series. I'm gonna cut real quick to a couple of clips from those, but I was just surprised because I actually only knew of 2 of them, but there were actually 4 of them. So let's check a couple of those out real quick. Alright guys, so one of the first ones that I could find was an Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 remake / reboot of the original. The graphics are a far departure from what, we were used to with the original series, although, obviously being on 16-bit systems, the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 are a lot more powerful, so you can, really jack up the graphics and make things look nice. So it looks pretty. This is a demo, so I don't know. I don't think there was ever a playable version of this, but it looks nice. But it's a far departure from what we're used to, like I said. Okay, on to the next one here. I'm actually really glad that this one didn't come out because, gosh, it just looks like a sad excuse for a Streets of Rage game to me. I don't know why, I just really dislike the way this game looks. Some of you guys may disagree with me on this one, but it's so weird that it turns into like sort of this first-person view, and then it kind of goes back and forth between this and the traditional side-scrolling view. I just really don't like this. I'm really, really glad this never saw the light of day. But anyways, this was supposed to be on the Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast personally. It was like one of my favorite systems. And then, so this other one that we're seeing right now was supposed to be released on the Saturn, and it actually was released as a different game. So, this wasn't a Streets of Rage game, but I guess was gonna be a Streets of Rage game at some point. So, just kind of interesting stuff. As we are getting closer to an actual Streets of Rage 4, this is just funny to go see these and see what kind of things were made or concepts were developed before, they decided to officially reboot it with a software company that seems very serious about bringing the game to light. So let's go on to the next one. So this next one unfortunately doesn't have a lot of great content. This one was actually being developed before the first one I showed you by a company called Grin. This one looks really, really good graphically, and there's a lot of cool concept art still out there. This looks the closest to the actual Streets of Rage 4 stuff that we've seen come out from the current company that's making it. So this is kind of interesting because I feel like maybe they got some inspiration from some of the concept art that came out of this project. This one just looked really cool. I'm kind of bummed that this one didn't see the light of day. Okay, so now for the real deal. This looks amazing. So a lot of you have probably already seen this, but I've probably watched it 100 times. I just can't get over how good of a job they did on this. Even though there's limited gameplay in it, it's this weird throwback to, maybe late 80s, early 90s it just looks awesome. So I'm very, very excited for this. I can't believe how scantily clad Blaze is, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. The gameplay just looks awesome. I'm just anticipating this is going to be amazing. So I know many of you have probably seen this before, like I said, but I just thought I'd show it again because I think the stuff we just saw looks very similar. So obviously you saw some failed attempts, you saw what will be the new Streets of Rage 4 that comes out later this year, but what was really kind of interesting to me is as I started doing my research, there was a slew of bootleg games developed as a continuation of the Streets of Rage series under an open source gaming engine called Beats of Rage. I was sort of familiar with the Beats of Rage open source engine, but I didn't realize that it had derived its whole entire inspiration from the continuation or the possible continuation of Streets of Rage. So if you haven't played any of these games that were developed for this Beats of Rage engine, I highly recommend you check them out. So I'm going to provide a link to the Beats of Rage game database because there's all sorts of different games that are mostly user created. And the reason why I'm going to give you a link to that is so you can kind of identify as many of the documented releases as possible. I'm also going to provide a link to the Beats of Rage, the Open Beats of Rage emulator for RetroPi, as I know a lot of the people that watch my channel actually have various RetroPi builds. So keep in mind if you decide to go down this path that a lot of these games, although very cool, they're user created and they can be kind of glitchy at times. So why I bring this up again is that these games are very much inspired by Streets of Rage. So some of them are rehashes of, pieces and parts of the old games, but the whole Beats of Rage project, it just kind of pays tribute to the days of old, side-scrolling beat-em-ups. So you're punching and kicking and kind of beating your way through levels of just awesomeness, right? So in anticipation of Streets of Rage 4, I wanted to show something that I came across, which was it was actually I don't know what it is. It appears to be a user-created version of Streets of Rage 4, so I thought I'd show it really quick because I had fun playing it. I loaded it all up and played it, and it was quite fun. But anyways, it's kind of helping me, tide me over until the official release later this year. So hopefully some of these versions can keep you guys entertained until the official release. But now I'll show you, without further ado, the hack demo, Open Beats of Rage, whatever you want to call it, version of Streets of Rage 4. This is by no means the official release. It's just some demo I came across, so check it out. Alright, here it is, guys, the Streets of Rage 4 demo, and keep in mind this is made with the Open Beats of Rage engine. So the cool thing about it, it was totally user created. I'm sure it was inspired by, some of the other attempts, but here it is. So you can only play as Axel, which I thought was interesting. As you kind of take a look at this, visually it looks really nice, and keep in mind what we've seen of Streets of Rage 4 so far looks even nicer than this, but this is probably the best looking user created Streets of 4 that I've seen. I love the lighting effects in the background. You will notice that you fight all of the same enemies. So like I said, this stuff is user created. Sometimes it's just concepts. Someone's excited about the game, they decide they want to go and make their own version of it and do some enhancements to it to show off. This might be one of those things. I don't know who actually created this, but some of the things you'll notice as I play through this here is that Axel's got some interesting, enhancements to his special move, which I think is really neat. One of the other things that's kind of cool is I'm hearing that they're going to kind of do something different with the special moves in the new game, because as you guys know, in prior versions of Streets of Rage, when you used your special attack, it would eat into your health. So there's going to be some enhancements to that, I'm hearing. There's also potentially going to be different combo systems and things like that. So I think they're going to take some elements of modern day, fighting games and sort of weave it into, Streets of Rage 4 to modernize it, so it appeals to both the retro gamer and then someone that may not have ever played Streets of Rage before. So as we walk through this, you can see the visuals are really great. Again, it's not as good as the stuff we've seen out of the official Streets of 4 release that's going to come out, or Streets of Rage 4 release that's going to come out, but it looks really nice. So you may want to check this out. I actually don't know where I acquired this from, so I can't really direct you to it, but I can definitely direct you guys to how to at least some guides of how to install the RetroPi Open Beats of Rage engine, and so you guys can kind of take a look at some of the stuff that's out there. But anyhow, I really appreciate you guys hanging out. I hope this gets you just as excited for Streets of Rage as it does for me. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video, and always remember to hit that notification bell so you can be informed of future videos. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.